Okay, so as you all know, you're all here for the attracting Gen Z customers to your business. We're talking about, how do you get better engagement on social media? How do you build excitement before your doors are even open? And because the biggest population on social media, especially Instagram, is the Gen Z, we brought in an expert. But before we get into that, as always, I'm going to walk you through a little bit what we do, what are our upcoming events, what's new with us, and then we'll get into the fun stuff. Sorry, I have a bit of a different setup today, so if you see me looking away, it's just because of the screens. Okay, so we at the Regional Business Center are all about helping entrepreneurs start, grow, and succeed. Whether you're a startup or you're looking to expand, or you're just a business that's running through some challenges, we are here to help. We offer free one-on-one consultations, unlimited amount. Sometimes I get asked like, oh, is the first one free? And I say, no, no, all of them are free because we understand that starting a business is really like financially taxing and stressful. So we don't want to put a paywall behind getting some help. That way, you're getting good advice to help your business go from really good to really great without stressing your startup budget. So if you're interested in chatting more with us, go on our website. Right on the front page, there's a spot where it says book your free consultation, and you can come chat with me or my other wonderful coworkers. We will help you through the steps of, registering your business, getting the license, and answering any of your questions. So we have 3 programs that are really strong to help businesses. The first one is Starter Company Plus, which is for anybody looking to start or expand their business. By doing the program, you're basically building your business plan with the coordinator and mentors. So every week you attend like a training course, and it's like chapter 1, market research, and then you do your market research, and then chapter 2, and you go through the program until at the very end, you have a really solid and completed business plan. You present this business plan to a panel of judges, which if you've done the program, you will pass with flying colors. And then you receive a grant of up to $5,000 for your business. So whether that's to buy some equipment, help you with marketing, anything of the sort, the Starter Company Plus is really there to help you. Now, right now, applications are closed because we are in the middle of a cohort, but we do have an expression of interest on our website. So if you're interested and you want to know more, go fill out that expression of interest because then the minute that we start accepting more people, you will get an email so that you don't miss out on this opportunity. When I put out that expression of interest, I got like 50 people in like a month. So there's definitely some interest. Get your name on the list. Make that first step towards getting some help with your business. Next program is Summer Company. This is for students age 15 to 29. You have to be going back to school in the fall. You can't be like a new graduate. And this one is the same idea as Starter Company, except it's only during the summer and it's a little bit more of a beginner phase because we understand that, students are younger, they might need a little bit more help than like a full expanding business. So if you're a student, you're within the age group, or you know somebody, or maybe, you have a kid that's in that age group, or a cousin, or a niece, nephew, anything, send them down this route. It's a really, really good program where you get a lot of really in-depth help. So, whatever the student is, nervous about, they're nervous about selling, they're nervous about pitching or getting, an angry customer, we will help them through every step of the way. This group, they get $3,000. So you get the first half at the very beginning to help you buy some equipment for the summer, get you where you need to go. And then you get the last half, the other 1,500 at the end of the program to help you continue your business into the fall. This one also is currently closed because we just started the new cohort for June. But again, fill in that expression of interest, fill it in for a friend that you know is interested for next year. And that way, the moment that they're open, we will contact them, they can apply. And again, they can start making that first step towards starting their business, getting some help, and getting some funding. And then last but not least is the Business Incubator Program. This one is really special because while there's no money associated with it, unfortunately, because there's no money, you can be a newcomer who doesn't have, citizenship, doesn't have their permanent residency, your status does not matter for this program. What you do gain instead of money is 6 months of mentorship. So that means that we pair you with somebody who's an expert in their field, and they will help you through, all your challenges for 6 months. Whether it's big or small, they are the person that you want to speak to. I was just talking with our guest speaker about how I interviewed a bunch of our participants over the weekend, and they were all talking about how, like, yeah, they probably would have started their business without this program, but they would not have seen success as quickly as they did without the help of having a mentor, without somebody who can help you pick through what are the good ideas, what are the bad ideas, and get to your goal. If you're interested in this one, well, good news, these applications are still open, but they do close in just 2 weeks. So if you're interested, go on the website, apply today. You don't want to miss out just because you forgot about the deadline. So do it as soon as possible and send it to your friends. The only criteria for this program is that your business has to have an innovative angle. Now, our definition of innovative is a little bit different. It doesn't mean, completely new across the world. It's more new to Sudbury. So if you have a business idea that maybe it exists in BC, sure, but it doesn't exist in Sudbury and Sudbury is in need of it, we would consider that an innovative business. So if you think you're on that track, apply. It's better to be safe than sorry. You can always contact the coordinator through the website to see if your business meets the criteria of innovation. Okay, as you all know, we don't do this all alone. We are business experts, but we are not accountants, we're not lawyers, and we can only do so much. So we work a lot with a wonderful team of collaborators from, Sudbury Tourism to the local post-secondary schools, so that if you come to us with a question that we don't have an answer to, we have a group of people that we can direct you. So for instance, like I said, we're not accountants, but I would point you in the direction of talking to Baker Tilly, who are accountants, do have expertise in business, and then they can sit down with you and give you that really, really strong advice. Same thing with lawyers, same thing with funding. We have so many resources, so we will always point you in the right direction. Some upcoming events. At the end of the month, I will be presenting about social media for beginners. This presentation is based off of a few months ago, we did a website business, like building your website business for beginners. And some of the feedback was if we could have that same kind of presentation, but for social media. So that's what I'm bringing you. I'm going to show you how to start an Instagram account, what are the first things that you should post, how to make the most out of it in a really slow step-by-step guide. We'll talk about advertising, we'll talk about analytics, but in a very beginner-friendly way. I'm not going to get too complicated, but I'll give you the information that you need. The next event that we have, because after the social media, you'll see we're going to start to slow down webinars over the summer. We'll still have some, but instead of 3 times a month, it'll be 1 time a month. So for our upcoming events, I actually have in-person events to share. The first one is the Business Pitch Challenge. So like I spoke before about the incubator program, the participants will be competing at the pitch challenge. They will have 5 minutes to share their idea in a very short and concise way. And they'll be competing for cash prizes of up to $3,000. So if you are even just looking to network, it's a great networking opportunity because it's going to be all these new business leaders and entrepreneurs. And then a lot of our mentors from the incubator program will be there. So if you're curious, this is a great way to kind of get to know the program. The next one is Women Leading with Impact. If you are interested in meeting a high, well-known, and more or less famous business entrepreneur, Arlene Dickinson is coming to Sudbury to do a Q&A and keynote presentation at Science North. It's an event that we're running with a number of really good partners like Nickel Basin and the Now program. Tickets are on sale. They're $100 a piece because this is a really high value event. Sorry. So if you're interested, come on down. go get your tickets. They will, you have until June 11th, and then the event is June 15th at Science North. Again, really good networking opportunity, and you get to meet like a really famous entrepreneur. Okay, now for the fun stuff. So today I have invited Imani, who is the creator behind Flanners Eats, based in Sudbury. She is a famous food blogger who's passionate about uncovering the hidden culinary gems, trying to find new activities, and exploring destinations all across Ontario and beyond. Since 2018, she has been creating content that goes beyond just a typical food review and instead captures more of the heart and soul of delicious eats alongside unique adventures across platforms, including Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Imani, thank you so much for coming today. You started food vlogging on Instagram in 2018. Why did you get started and what inspired you?
So I moved from Ottawa because I went to Ottawa U to Sudbury in 2018, and I loved obviously trying different foods in Ottawa and just experiencing new things. So I thought when I came to Sudbury, it would be a great opportunity to do so. And ultimately, a lot of what I did was online writing, like, just writing reviews on Google and apps like Zomato or Urban Spoon, if you've ever heard of it, but no longer, unfortunately, in existence. But yeah, and I decided to move to Instagram, and I guess the rest is history. I've been eating my way through town ever since.
Speaking of which, there's over like 50 very unique restaurants in Sudbury. So how did you pick which ones you wanted to review first?
Oh, that is difficult. I guess it just depends on how I'm feeling, or if
Mhm.
um like at the start, it definitely depends on how I'm feeling. If I've had heard any word of mouth from coworkers or things of that such. So they would recommend some foods to try. And then obviously as time progressed, like people would reach out to me and be like, hey, have you tried the spot? And I'm like, no, so I'm on it. And so it ultimately it varied from going from just what I'm interested in, what other people recommended word of mouth, which I find is very, very, very strong in Sudbury, and then ultimately going to recommendations online.
Okay, awesome. So everybody here has started their social media account, from the ground up. They've all started at zero. You're now at like 7,000 followers. So when you were first starting, how did you grow your audience?
Um, Definitely through like friends following. And just I think back then too, I was very strategic in the kind of hashtags that I would put under the photos I would post because it was mostly photos that I posted, and I would write a quick review as well. I found back then like it's definitely different to the way things are run in Instagram now because right now they limit the amount of hashtags, for example, that you can put under a post, and it's very geared towards search like engine optimization. So if you're able to type in stuff like Google, will your page be able to come up on like said, platform that you are essentially investing your time in, right? So ultimately, it was a very much, post like consistently how I felt, and it just naturally grew. There was a time where I was doing a lot of giveaways just to like, get my name out there and essentially just grow from that. But it was a balance of just really posting a lot and just posting when I'm comfortable, not to overextend myself too as well. Because not every time the camera needs to eat first, but either way. But yeah.
How often, if you remember, like how often were you posting back in the beginning to be like consistent?
I mean, I would say 2 to 3 times a week, right?
Mhm.
Where you're not overextending yourself. Like if you're able to, and back then I never understood what batch creating was, right? So it was more so like, oh, if I go to a restaurant at lunchtime with my friends, I'll just take a photo of what they got to as well and post it. And we'll ask, oh, did you guys like your food? If I liked it. So it's difference of opinions whenever I would post said commentary. And I'm very detailed, like I like to tell a story, right? So I'm writing these hefty captions, back then, whereas now it's kind of like shortened a little bit because I like to have the video tell the story
Mhm.
or the photo and the carousel tell the story, right?
Hmm, absolutely. So you post on TikTok and Instagram. Which one did you see the most growth when it came to engagement, and why do you think?
Absolutely Instagram because that's where I started out. I only started posting on TikTok maybe 2 years ago. So I'm at I think over 2,000 followers now on TikTok, which is awesome too. Like, because if
Mhm.
you think about it, not all the same individuals are on the same social media platform. So if people have a preference of this Instagram, they're going to be on Instagram only. If people have a preference of TikTok, they're going to be there, and Facebook too. Every platform has a different um, I guess amount of users, right? And it's just what people are interested in. Like if people are interested in hiking, like they're gonna follow a lot more people who are interested in hiking. It varies too as well. I have Facebook too, but I'm trying to slowly grow it, but it's hard because Facebook is a very different, clientele or just a different amount of people who use it as frequent compared to the other platforms, I find at least, right? So yeah.
I totally agree. That's something that I'm going to touch on in that social media for beginners of like, not everybody uses like Facebook and Instagram. And when you look online at the demographics, they'll say like, oh, the most people on Facebook and Instagram are like 25 to 45.
Mhm,
And I always
mhm.
have to say, like, that's not necessarily true because you and I are like of similar age and we were kind of like teenagers when Facebook was a big thing and
Yeah.
everybody was making an account. But now, like, it's my parents who spend the most time on Facebook. And you and I have navigated more towards like TikTok and Instagram. So it's like you can't just look at like the stats. You have to look at who's using it and why. Like, what are they looking for? So I'm not really surprised with Instagram because I remember Instagram when it started was huge on food photography and it was
Yeah.
such a meme too.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So when you're looking for a new place, what platforms are you using to find new locations to review?
Um. Right. It varies because I find a lot of the stuff that's on TikTok will eventually be on Instagram later on, right? So it's like, um, so most of the time, I think whatever comes up on uh, maybe TikTok now, sometimes Google as well, because I like to see what the people are saying. Like, do they enjoy it? Because quite frankly, you know, sometimes when I do post, a lot of individuals have different palettes. So you and I will not have the same palette. I may like this dish, and unfortunately, somebody else may not like this dish, which is perfectly fine. It's a difference of opinion. The hope is that from that video, you're going to try something new. So when I'm looking at those comments on Google, for example, I'm like, oh, I see what people don't like or like. And then when I go to said restaurant, most of the time I do lead with asking the waiter or the waitress what do they like or recommend for the menu, because my hope is that I know some places don't operate like this, but my hope is that you can recommend something that you truly like, and then I can like it and we can like it together, like just things like that. But if I don't, well, that's okay. Like, again, difference of palates and so on and so forth, right?
About finding businesses that are like just open, ones that like aren't established, aren't easy to find, but have they been open for like maybe a month or two? How do you try to find those ones?
Sometimes people come to me, which I
Ah,
love, right? And even sometimes people go to my partner and like, oh, did you hear about this? I'm like, I think so. Let me, you know what? We can look at that. Or, sometimes like I don't use Facebook in the normal sense where it's like I'm using Facebook for like, keeping up with friends. No, I have it strictly with Flanusites and um all like literally I'm in like downtown Sudbury groups or like Chemi groups and seeing what people are putting down in there because essentially people always comment stuff that's new or happening and they're very engaging online. So then I'll take a screenshot and I'm like, okay, this is something new. Like last week in Chemi, Firewalk just opened up, for example. So it's just new spots to try and just essentially go, hopefully, eventually.
Yeah, yeah, like I've seen you go to like some grand openings. So that's a good note for everybody here. Promote your business in these Facebook groups because that's how some people are finding these brand new businesses, because yeah, when you don't have like a social media presence, it's hard. But Chemi groups, downtown Sudbury groups, that's a great way to be like, come try out this new place to people who are looking for something new. So when you're doing these reviews, what are you critiquing exactly? And do you have like a rating metric?
I don't have a rating metric, okay? So I am very much of because I have a very like wide palette in terms of um how do I say this? I have a wide palette because I'm half Ghanaian and Nigerian. So I do love experiencing new things. I am not shying away from trying the extreme stuffs. Like, I am not scared of that, right? I'll try it once to be like, okay, I tried it. I don't know, maybe try it a second time and be like, yeah, let's try to figure this out. But I don't have like a rating, but I do have like, you know, the food quality, like how's it coming out, like the presentation. If it's messy and that's the theme of it, like I can appreciate that. If it's not, and I'm going to a fine dining restaurant and it's not presented essentially like the way you would expect a fine dining to be, then I would be like, that's kind of interesting. And I may note that in like my review when I'm saying that out loud. So even if it's not in the video, it will be in the caption, right? Because again, I like to for it to be fulsome. And then of course service,
Mhm.
atmosphere, and value. Because, you know, a lot of places may like I get it, like cost for restaurants, it's a lot to run a business. Absolutely. And you as the restaurant owner or business owner want to make sure you have value in what you're putting out so that your return on investment, and so on and so forth. However, like I just look at those things and like the experience. Because if I have a great experience with a server and the food wasn't good, like, yeah, that kind of sucks. I may make the comment on my my story, but I never tag the business because again, Suburb being a smaller community, I know that's that individual's lifeline. I'm not going to like I can agree to disagree. Like unfortunately I didn't have a great experience, but I'll never blast a business like that because I don't like you can have bad experiences, absolutely. But if somebody sends me a DM and try to ask me like how was your experience, then I'll be like truthful in that matter and let them know. Um because it's not always good, right? Like so it depends. Yeah. So
I like
that's
that.
what I'm looking in terms of factors when I'm going to a restaurant or experiencing something too as well.
You kind of give them a chance of being like, yeah, like you're human. Like sometimes you have a bad day. Sometimes the server's having a bad day and it's going to affect their work, but you're like, hey, like that's fine. That's all right. So, okay, let's start getting into a little bit of attracting the young audiences to online. So, in your opinion, what's the best way to engage young people on social media?
Being authentic to yourself. I find it doesn't always have to be real like you being relational like in like putting memes in your videos or whatever the case may be. whatever value you find in how you show up on social media should be what like your for your business, right? Essentially. So my thought process is if you are able to show up authentically as yourself and have a strategy of how you want to present yourself in front of like an audience, then I think it will be more relatable. Of course there are times where some younger audiences are much more engaging in like the quick stuff, in like things that have a storyline or whatever the case, like an office like setting for
Mhm.
restaurant business owners, like things like that. Like there is multiple ways to engage with the younger audience, but as long as you're showing up as yourself in your business strategy, I don't think it should be that difficult. Like it should, yeah. I mean, says the person who does social media and has a day job, but like frankly, it's just what are you comfortable with? You don't want to be too uncomfortable because this, as the saying goes, you have to be uncomfortable to grow,
Mhm.
but within reason as you develop into different stages.
So to you, like talking about like the authenticity, like what does that look like for like a business owner?
Well, ultimately, like prime example, a week ago, we had this whole water quality issue in Sudbury. And a lot of businesses put out statements as to, I'm following, protocol and so on and so forth, which is great because like they were able to showcase like if some brands use their own logo to create that message to ensure people are comfortable with returning to their restaurant. Some brands were like, no, like restaurants were like, no, unfortunately, we're not, able to service, like we're trying to catch. So you're being authentic and like, this is a crisis right now. And so, you know, this is a crisis and this is what I'm putting out to mitigate per the way, like obviously following the city's guidelines, but also ensuring that the people who value coming to my restaurant or experience or whatever the case know what I am doing to mitigate in my way, right? Like
Yeah.
following the guidelines and essentially showcasing it through. I know this is kind of, it sounds like a little far-fetched, but no, people value to ensure that, hey, the food that I'm coming to eat at your restaurant, you're ensuring to take proper measures so that I don't get sick, right? Like it's as simple as that, right?
Being honest, really.
Hmm.
So, kind of going off of the good stuff, can you share some examples of what a business should avoid when trying to engage and post on social media?
I've seen this very mixed um relations with AI, for example, where I'm not saying to avoid it completely, but you know, there are a lot of graphic designers who you can ask to batch create different things or use Canva and then maybe having some elements of AI if that's warranted, right? I'm not here to police anybody in terms of what they feel comfortable in doing, but AI has gone rampant in a lot of what businesses put out. I've noticed, and it's very interesting because the other day I did see a realtor who posted, "Are you most likely to engage with a photo or a reel if it's strictly AI based?" Right? Like there's no authentic. And 233 people from what I saw she posted said no. So nobody said yes to that.
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt in terms of how you strategize what you're going to do in content. That's why I go back to saying batch creating 1 day a month or 2 days a month where it's different things, different meals, how you create that meal. And then if it's, a story post about the feature menu, at least you have things that you can rely on. And if there's emergency, you have your logo and maybe there's a little AI like aspect in it, but it's not your entire content being AI. So that's why I'm saying that's one thing I would suggest, you finding the balance in because this day and age, people still want to see authenticity, and people still want to see, you know, other individuals support graphic designers and creatives and things to that effect. But ultimately, it's what you're comfortable with. And this is, if this is what you have right now, this is what you have right now. And if you're able to upgrade later on, then so be it, right? You shouldn't feel policed in how you manage your accounts, because ultimately you know why you're doing this at this point in time. So as you grow, then hopefully what you're looking to build in social media grows as well.
So you've mentioned batch creating a few times. To people who are new to that term, what does that mean?
That essentially means, having a day, 2, 3, or 4, a month where you create multiple content for your social media. So a lot of the time, social media agencies, for example, who manage other accounts actually batch create for said business. And then if they know about the feature going on ahead of time, you can essentially create out of that and use multiple photos and videos to create multiple content that lasts you for a long time. And then when it's time to upgrade or update, because there's a new, let's say there's a new season of drinks happening at your said restaurant, then of course that's when you would batch create different drinks. And let's say on a Wednesday, it's Wine Wednesday, so these are the feature bottles that we have. Then another day, it's 50% off from 4 to 6. These are the wine bottles that we have. So you can use it on multiple days for whatever features that are going on in your restaurant or at your place or facility that you're creating for, right?
Yeah, and something we talked about in like our pre-webinar interview was like recycle content. Like something that we talked about is like, you go to so many restaurants and then, you have like a video for each individual one, but then you're able to take like top 5 patio restaurants in Sudbury and just take clips from each one. Like
Exactly.
it's okay to recycle. Like even like after that conversation, I kind of like was like, yes, I need to remind myself this is okay. Where that kind of feeds into the batch creating because it's like you're creating content for each individual, but now you can do more of top 5, top 10. And even if the video is like 2 years old and the business has changed a little bit, the people aren't going to notice.
No,
Yeah.
no, people have the, like, I don't want to say this, but it's true. Sometimes a short attention span, and that's me too as well.
Hmm.
That's me as well. So it's a great opportunity for you to not have to think that, oh my God, I have to spend so much money and get a photographer or this just to create content. Wait a minute, you've already created stuff from time. See if you can edit, add new graphics, and so on and so forth, and then post it. You're going to be okay.
So a lot of entrepreneurs I meet with are just starting out and may not have even started accepting customers, but they're looking to have a bit of a online presence. How can they attract attention before their doors are even open?
I like to say, a great example of this would be Mozzie opening up in the fall.
Yes.
Now, you essentially give people the je ne sais quoi. Like, you can put stuff in, like, again, the Facebook groups, you create your account, be strategic in who you tag. Because, like, for instance, whenever I see something new, I like to sometimes I repost that new stuff and put the eyes on it. I'm like, ooh, something's coming, right? Like, you want to create that whole suspense, like, and a great way to get people engaged in that is just slowly building up to opening day, right? Like, you don't have to show your menu, but you can ask people what are they excited to see in this type of menu, like, because your restaurant is centered around whatever it's centered around, right? So it's just like creating that suspense to that opening day, creating that suspense to what's going to be served. You can even show behind the scenes of things that are happening at the restaurant if you're comfortable with whatever you're comfortable with showing, so that people can feel attached and included. People like to feel included. It's a great way to have people included in when you're opening up a new spot. So Mazzy is a great example. You know, the new oyster bar that's opening up where Tommy's not here used to be is a great example. So yeah, there's multiple ways, and those are just great visual examples I can think of at this point.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I'm gonna share my screen to show you guys for those who haven't seen Mozzie's posts. But let me just figure. Okay, here we go. So you can see like it's literally just a screenshot of their plan, of their floor plan. They put a nice logo on it, like it looks really good, it looks refined. They have a few pictures. It has 455 likes. They're not open yet. And look at all of this attention. Don't mind my comment, but they have so much engagement. And when you go through their posts, you know, they even have one like this. It is so simple. It is so like, let's get a picture of the guys working, you know, and they put their logo on it. They put a little caption. And again, 324 likes. Like, and how many times is this post being shared? And look at how simple it is. I worked for a place that was kind of like in the same realm as Mozzie, where they were renovating and moving and making changes. And I kept pushing them. I was like, let's share this, let's share this, let's share this excitement. Let's get people talking. And they were so like, yeah, but it's not refined. Yeah, but it's messy. Yeah, but you can see the dust and you can see the scaffolding and stuff. And I was like, that doesn't matter. It just get stuff out there to build excitement. It doesn't have to be, you know, picture perfect
Mhm.
because we can see with Mozzie that they're not doing picture perfect and look at how beautiful it is and look at how much engagement they're getting.
And I
Okay.
want to even add to that to even
Mhm.
say is like, even if you don't have like professional photos that are taken like ahead of time to show like just stills of some of the things you have so that you can have fillers as you do set like, you know, simple shots of like, let's say the workers working in your restaurant or your spot, like you literally can go to Dollarama, get a backdrop, and just take a photo of the food or things that are like at least visual things that you that is authentic to your restaurant or your business, and then post it because at least those are the filler shots that you can have in between posts so that you have a theme if that's what you're going for, right? And it's a great visual.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of leading on like getting that high engagement. A few months ago, I did an interview with Samantha Blender, the previous marketing strategist for the Sudbury Wolves. And she said that just because a post does really, really well doesn't necessarily mean like you're going to sell more Wolves games tickets. Is this also true for like food establishments and businesses?
I would say yes, but I can't speak for all. Like I
Mhm.
can speak for myself, and let's say if I'm doing a collaboration with a brand and they're paying me for it, um, like I like to yield results in like sprinkling a little bit of a giveaway in there so that it actually gets people talking in that regard, and this way if even if it's just $25, right? It gets people engaged to want, okay, so I'm actually gonna go. And I always like let whoever the winner of the giveaway, don't be afraid to tag me or let me know how your experience go. My hope is that you have a great experience and things like that. So at least from my end, what I'm providing for the business in that regard is like tangible result. Okay, so these are the individuals that have entered the giveaway. There's interest clearly in going to the restaurant and it's tangible. And then they're, you know, the hope is that whoever wins goes sooner rather than later. It doesn't matter. They go whenever they can. And then they tag you as a business. Oh my God, great experience, right? So it's just that is a prime example that like, okay, this could go great. But then other times I will post and people save, but you know, people save a lot of stuff, but they actually need to go and do it. And I'm also like a testament to that. I save a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff to go through in terms of like going to places people want me to try, and I'm like, come on, I'm only one person, you know? So like, quite frankly, it's not like Samantha said, it's not always going to yield results, right? But the hope is that even if it got 200 views, 200 people standing in front of you, that's a lot of people. So even if 10 people hear and go to that restaurant from that 200 views, that's still great because if they have a great experience, word of mouth even goes further in Sudbury, I find. So combination of social media and a combination of word of mouth because experience matters, you'll do amazing.
And something I'll add on to that is also like, let's say you put a post out and it blows up, it does so well, it gets like 500 likes, crazy. And then those people aren't showing up to your restaurant. It's only because there's so many decisions that go into like making a purchase, right? So it's like they might like it on social media, but that doesn't mean they're available that weekend. They could be out of town, they could be going on vacation, they could get sick. But the thing is that you still kind of like implemented that idea in their head so that when they are going like, oh man, I really like, I don't want to cook tonight, I want to go out, they go, oh, I remember I saw this thing, let's go to it. So it might just be delayed. It might not be right away. It might just be a little bit later. Like sometimes I see places and I'm like, oh, I would like to bring my parents to that. And that'll be 4 months later, but you're still putting that little idea in their head. Okay. When researching what places you want to review next, what kind of information on the business do you look for on their social media? And what do you wish they showed more of?
I guess maybe the different types of specials or offerings that they have. Like, I'm not saying post all of it, but at least we can get a generalized idea. Look, I'll give you an example. The fromagerie, right? They
Mhm.
post like they have a flight, Caesar flight on Saturdays, I believe. So that's one thing that I know, oh, I can look forward to that on Saturday. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go get my girls and we're gonna go have a Caesar flight, right? Like just being able to tell what the specials are is great. And it doesn't have to be a post because if you've posted about it already, all you have to do is reshare that post to your story every Wednesday, Wine Wednesdays, for example. And then, what the deal is 50% off from 4 to 6 and short and simple. That's one story.
Mhm.
People love Wine Wednesdays. They love 50% off. So they're going to come, right? Like it's just,
Mhm.
I look for that. I look for, you know, I went to a business the other day and they posted on their story that they were having this dish um on their menu that day, but they ran out. And I'm like, you can't do this to me. Post it on your story. And I literally told the waiter, I was like, this is why I came today. This
Yes.
and it's sold out. You need to take that off your story because it breaks my heart. It looks so delicious. So it's just, being able to visually, people love visuals, right? Being able to visually show, whether it's photo, whether it's a reel, what they're
Mhm.
about to eat. And it doesn't have to be all of it because it's a mystery. But if you have specials and you're able to, there's a range, then you're set, right?
Yeah, because that's the thing is like, especially with Instagram, like Instagram, you have to post a picture to get it out there. So it's like people are coming expecting photography, expecting a video. They want to see it, they want the proof. So
Mhm.
like sometimes businesses will put like a graphic of their menu, but something I really like that Tuco's did where they would just take a picture of the printed menu with just like a nice background and just that got them more engagement because it was just a little bit more visually pleasing than just a graphic. And that's because they are able to do that, but it looks a little nicer.
Yeah.
Um and they like it. Yeah. And then yeah, like is there anything else aside from like features that you wish that they showed more of? Like you want to be able to find it right away.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, if you're doing all that you do, and I'm able to come to that restaurant and try said new item or, you know, specials that you have features of or whatever the case may be, then you've done your job. You've attracted me as a customer.
Good point.
So
Good point.
ultimately, like if, for example, Taco Tuesday, right? Before Taco Tuesday, I literally post on my story any businesses doing taco deals. And Regency responded, and I posted them on my story, and I created my own graphic because I've been and I've had their churros. I posted it on my story, and it was like a feature for them and whatever, right? Like it's just to be able to like be engaging in that regard and like showcase yourself as a business. Like if it's Taco Tuesday, oh, every Tuesday, like you post on Tuesdays, you know people are going to expect you posting on Tuesday. What's the special for today? Prime example, Beards. Every Tuesday and Thursdays on their stories, they post the donuts that they're creating or they have for that day. And if by 2 p.m. for clearly you know I've had their donuts a lot because if I know by 2 p.m. a lot of your donuts have not sold. Okay, they're gonna have a 2-for-1 special and I'm going. You know, like things like that. It just clearly I'm excited and clearly it creates hype in your product, right? And if you have a good product, it's just having something that's visually pleasing but authentic to you that you're able to post and then attract the individuals to go.
That's perfect. Okay. I have so many more questions, but I'm going to skip a few because I know we're going to get tight on time and I still want to leave room for our participants. So if you have questions for Imani, put them in the chat right now and then I'll go through them all. Okay. Um, okay. What is one thing that makes the biggest impact on a customer's experience?
Um, I know food has to be amazing, but service.
Yeah, huh?
That's the first thing we see or experience when you come through the door is service. And and that's why I said like if the food tastes good and the service is not there, that's hard. That is hard. And I've been to a couple places where the food is amazing, but the service is questionable. And I am a very easygoing person. Like I am not that I'm nonchalant, but I love some structure and I love, some flow to it. But if the service is eerie, I don't know if I'm coming back. But I know this happened to me at a restaurant a couple years ago, and I went to them in 2019, and I had a horrible experience, and I hadn't been back until after COVID. So
Mhm.
probably in 2023, 2022 or 2024, I can't tell anymore. And literally I had a better experience than I literally complimented the waiter. I'm like, thank you so much. I've had a great experience. And unfortunately I had a horrible experience before and you made me enjoy this so much. I can't wait to come back. And I
Mhm.
like to say that. I like to give the compliments where it's due because the hope is like you have a great experience. The food is incredible. Like that's what speaks for itself. Yes, but the service attached to that is mwah, like it's phenomenal.
It makes or break it because I know like we chatted a bit about how like part of the customer experience is like, who you go with, what kind of day is it, what's the weather? Like there's so many things that come into play into an experience that the owner can't control. But the quality of the service and the quality of their product or anything is really like that's what makes or breaks it. And I also feel like when I get along well with a waiter or service provider, I'm more likely to not just like keep coming back, but to buy more,
Oh yeah.
because it's like now I'm curious, now I'm interested, now I'm like, you said it earlier where you often ask them, what would you recommend? If I'm making friends with the server and we're vibing, I'm going to start asking those questions. And it just builds a very different kind of relationship and a very different experience because now you're like having fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It really makes a restaurant is the hospitality and how they make you
Yeah.
feel when you're eating that food or ordering that food. It makes a difference.
I love those memes where it's like when you go buy a shawarma or something and the owner calls you boss and you leave there just feeling like you're on cloud nine. You're like, I'm the boss. Like, heck yeah. And it's like, yeah, that's part of it. That's part
Yeah.
of it.
People love to
Okay.
feel good. So yeah.
Exactly. Okay. I have a question from the audience. what would you suggest to do as a post and as a story and as a reel?
Um, what would you, like I said before, if you're able to batch create product shot, like a little, short video of you panning into the meal that you've created, or a BTS of like you creating said meal, you've just created 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 posts out of that three things you just created.
Yeah.
One, you have a static post. One, you could put that post, carousel, whatever, on your page. You can put that on your story. You could reuse that for essentially features that you may have with that dish, and so on and so forth. The next being the little video, 6-second video that you have. You can literally change graphics that you need for whatever special you're having for that week for that 6-second video that's related to that food. Or if it's part of a deal that you're doing, if you get like it's a $45 meal where you can get chicken, beef, wine, drink, you literally can use that little video that you created for multiple things. So if you're able to be strategic in key items within your menu that you're able to essentially that you want to showcase and you want people to get attracted to, then that's reusable content in all those three things. And it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. A quick photo or video goes a long way. And then when you change it up for the next month, for example, maybe you want to show the behind the scenes, like I said, behind the scenes to create that meal. And today we're having a special, right? Like there's just multiple ways to go about it. And that's just the way my brain works when it comes to that stuff, right? So my hope
Yeah.
is you as a business are able to do, and I respect that time is of the essence and things of that sort. So if you're able to set aside a little bit of time that you may have, then you can do it. If you want to parse it out to a social media company or work with a social media creator to like manage your account, there are options like if you have the budget, but quite frankly, if it's just as simple as creating that quick and easy shot, you can use it on multiple posts
Yeah.
and videos.
And I will say, like, you kind of touched on it earlier with Beards, of like when Beards has their Tuesdays and Thursday donuts, it's often on their story because it's like very time sensitive. It's only, stories are only up for 24 hours. So when it's something that you're like, I need the people to know this like right now so that they show up in the next hour, that's where stories are really, really helpful. But yeah, you can keep reusing that stuff.
Yeah. As long as
Okay.
you have a theme that looks good for you and your content, reuse, please. It just makes life easier.
Absolutely. Okay, I have another question. So this person says, I have my food business, and you actually did a review on them. It's the taco shop at the Sudbury Market.
Hmm,
And she said it makes a lot of difference on our business, and she got lots of new clients. So thank you for the review.
that's
What
awesome.
do you recommend to new businesses to add to their posts to get more views? We are trying to make original posts to build a brand.
Um, it's funny because I have taco shop like the videos in my mind because of recent like they created a video like like because they have salsa matcha, they have their chili oils. That's essentially their chili oils, and they are showing you multiple use of how you can use that chili oil. Like that is a great way showing how your product is being used in day to day, right? Like that's one aspect. The other aspect is like every quarter or every 6 months, if you are able to financially do this where you can do a giveaway so people are engaged and look forward to that, then absolutely, that's a great opportunity for people to come. And it means that they're following your account, they're sharing it on their story, and there's a far reach when that occurs. And it just doesn't have to be Instagram. It could be Facebook. It could be TikTok. You're just reusing what you already created for that. And that's one thing I wanted to include. You can reuse a lot of the stuff that you create on Instagram for Facebook as well as TikTok, right?
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to reuse it, because that's literally how different audiences and different clientele discover what you create. So, and I know I was talking about AI earlier, but AI is good in giving you ideas of what to create as well. So if you type in, I'm salsa matcha, this is my chili oil. I want to showcase it in different usage points of what people can use to create with it. You can create a series out of that. Today I'm
Yeah.
making a pig sandwich. Today I'm making salsa and chip. Today I'm making ceviche. And of course, actually, that's one of the next videos I'll be eventually showcasing is ceviche with her chili oil. So it's just things like that gets the people talking. Oh my God, it's so easy. It's accessible. That's the other thing I like to see. Accessibility helps a lot, whether it's through just being able to get the product, or just like if you're a restaurant owner and if your restaurant is accessible, right? Like not a lot of people are able-bodied and other people are not. So it's just a wide range in that aspect as well. Sorry, that was a side note, but
Oh,
I
it's
just
all good. No, and I think like, touching on their question about like trying to build a brand, your brand is your unique value. So like the chili oil, like that's what sets you apart from, any other taco place in town that you have this product. So that's how you build
feel
your brand, keep showcasing that with just the examples that you were talking about. That's an excellent way to show like, look, we're different. Look, we do things our way. This is our brand. This is how good it is. These are all the ways that you can use it. And then, yeah, and then if you have, like you said, like the financial capacity, make that the giveaway then. And then it leads to more and more and more.
exactly. Like quite frankly, they have a 3 or 4. And when you go to the Sudbury market, you're able to try, they have a little tester with chips and
Oh,
they explain the flavor, well, the flavor and the heat. And I'm like, that is great way to get stuff going, right?
this is so funny because now you just reminded me that I have to text my mom and remind her to bring me salsa from New Liskert because it's my favorite one. So I'm literally sending a text being like, don't forget the salsa
Hey, it's
because like
important, you
it's
know?
important. Because when you love a product so much that like you create like this customer loyalty, right? So
Yes.
like with the chili oil, like you're creating customers that are going to keep coming back. And also, this is a point that one of my coworkers brought up in the fall of if you're in the food industry, having a unique thing that you can sell like the chili oil is a good example of how you're getting into people's homes, right?
Yes.
Like how are you showing up in everyday life? What is it? The Cuisina has like their red pepper soup, which is like
Yeah.
famous, and how you can go and just buy some and
Exactly.
right and buy like the big containers to then bring it home. That's a great way of like finding a new way to engage with people. Like, yes, people will come to your restaurant still. It's not gonna like turn them away from coming in person. You're actually just building a better relationship with that customer
Yeah.
because then every time they come to, to Taco Sol or to the Cuisina, they're going like, "Oh my gosh, guys, like you have to try this. It's the
Yeah.
best."
Yeah.
And now
Absolutely.
you're building an audience.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you one last question.
Okay.
Um, as you've been doing this since 2018, if you're bringing somebody from out of town, what is the one dish that you think represents Sudbury the best?
Porchetta? Come on now, like porchetta is a staple. I did porchetta bingo, like it is truly an experience. And porchetta
Hmm.
sandwiches or um just porchetta in itself, but mostly it's with the sandwich and the bread. That's like that is if you eat pork, that is something that I would highly recommend trying. Going to like Regency or like all those places that sell it, like porchetta. I don't think Regency, but I think they have a deli in the background. Anyways, I don't remember right now, but Torini's, for example, or Cara's, they sell porchetta sandwiches. Just going there and experiencing that because everybody makes it differently. And
Yes.
there's a documentary that was made by a filmmaker in Sudbury about porchetta they went to Italy and how Italy's porchetta is different than
Mhm.
Sudbury's porchetta. So it's fascinating and it's incredible. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to sneak in one more question from the audience because this is a really good one, and then we'll wrap up. So this person said that their primary demographic is the Gen X and older, like homeowners.
Yeah.
But they know that the younger generations are starting to get into the industry, which is like bird watching and feeding. So, this is kind of my thing with like when people say Gen Z, where I'm like, Gen Z is not that young. They're like 25, 26 now.
Yeah.
So let's say it's that generation that, they're starting to get interested.
Yeah.
For Instagram specifically, should they do a post, a reel, a video, a story? What is the best way to engage with that younger generation?
So, quite frankly, reels are great reach, but because of the way Instagram has changed and is always updating, there is no harm in like carousels as well. And
Mhm.
because it's different audiences, quite frankly, that's why when I'm saying this, and I'm saying this with, if you create something small, like a photo, two photos of different shots, and it literally has different captions on, because people are like, oh, what's next? What's next? What's next on the carousel and the reel, whatever that form content is, like it's still engaging. Quite frankly, both have different reaches. And I've learned that to myself in this past year, for example. Before I never posted a lot of photos, but now I do. I do recaps, right? Like you as a business can do a recap of what works. So it's basically like a little mini series of what people ordered a lot during the month and what they didn't. So next month, I'm gonna encourage you to try something new at a restaurant. Things like
Yep.
there's multiple ways you could show that in a video or you can show that on an image carousel post. So quite frankly, I know I sound like it doesn't sound like it's helpful, but if you're able to batch create small things and use it in multiple avenues, you literally have two reaches that you can get from either a real video or
Mhm.
a post, and then repost it to your story.
And I'll add on to that of bringing back that authenticity of like showcase your passion. If you're so passionate about these birds, don't feel like you need to pull yourself back and make a caption or a post that feels very corporate, that feels very businessy. If you're passionate about birds, people are going to relate to that passion. And something that I love, just to give like an idea to this business, is I'm chronically online. I'm not that big on Instagram, but I'm very big on TikTok. And
Mhm.
my funniest thing is when I come across like a wildlife page or something, and it's like bird of the week, and it's like this crazy editing
Yeah.
that just makes me laugh so much. And I will save it and show people. And I'm like, look at this crazy video. It's bird of the week, but they did it in such a like fun,
Make
passionate that
it.
like for the normal Joe, maybe that's just a bird, but this person is showing what it means to them and how excited it gets them by
Oh yeah.
showing this editing. And then now it's like, now I can't stop watching them. Like
Oh
now
yeah.
I'm just so like, yeah, it's a bird, but you've hooked me in.
I will like add on like quickly to this, and literally I of this week went to Hanmer, went to Cousin Vinny's, and I did a coaster, but like dot painting. I'm about to post about that experience because it was the coolest. I've never done something like that before, and it took a lot of work. It was 2 hours, but it was great. Like people want to see those experiences and it being authentic to your brand, right? And if you're able to optimize the search and the caption, like just quick things, and you don't use hashtags, then so be it. But at least you're growing authenticity through what you post and being strategic about it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I think that's where we'll wrap up. I feel like we could just talk about this all day, but we're going to cut it there. Have a great day to everybody who participated. I hope this was really helpful. Go check out her page. It's so much fun. Like I was talking about, like the editing with the bird videos. Like, um, for the reminder reel for this, I mimicked your editing and then I got compliments. So you can definitely take some inspiration from how Imani does her content and showcases her business side.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you all. It was great meeting you and take care.
Okay. Bye, everyone.